back. We got the three amigos back together finally. And I think we're going to start off with our favorite player, William Nylander. Is he the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He is the most offensive weapon. And I don't know what that exactly fucking means.
The most consistent.
Like, he can make the most happen. And I think he basically explained that to you yesterday when he put $34 million on one line and still stuffed Nylander, even though he's the best player on the ice, on the second line with a bunch of bums. No offense to Alex Kerr. Actually, you know what? He was just rotating fucking third line wingers with Nylander. That's what he was doing. It wasn't even like consistent towards like the middle to end of the game. Right at the end, I think he dropped that idea. But he was just rotating a fucking revolving door of absolute $1 million bums on that line. Sorry.
Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's just been from game one, every single game, he's putting out the exact same performance, and he's been the best on the Leafs so far.
That toe drag dangle last night.
Oh my God. I was literally saying, I was just like, he can't buy one right now. And he literally couldn't. It reminded me of the game fucking last year when he faced Winnipeg and Hellebuck was literally just Vezina.
And he also hit 3 posts that game.
And he was like, I just need one. I just need one, which is funny because he didn't even get credited with the goal by the end of it, but whatever.
Yeah. And speaking of, Andre Kasha has started to look a little bit more like the Andre Kasha with the Anaheim Ducks. Not like any of us actually watched that Andre Kasha, but judging by his stats, he's winning a lot of puck battles. He's the driving force on that line. And is the Engvall on the second power play unit experiment over? Should we put Andre Kasha back there?
Quick answer, yes. Second answer, you know Final Destination, that movie where you know what happens, like everyone fucking dies and you're just waiting for weird shit to happen. Watch Andre Kasha play. That's it. He puts himself in the worst fucking positions to get absolutely fucking rocked. And like, he gets on the ground, you're like, is he? And then he gets back up and you're like, like, you're like, this math checks out on why you have 45 concussions. I'm glad he's okay after putting himself, like, he's just gotten hit so hard, but no, he should be on that second power play unit, and Pierre Engvall should be playing for SKA Moscow.
Okay, well, I don't know if we should be that harsh on Engvall, but I think we can all agree when Mikheyev comes back, he's the odd man out, eh?
Oh, that sucks to hear. I hate Mikheyev. Sorry.
More than Engvall?
Oh, God. They can both go to SK Moscow. Mikheyev can teach him how to speak Russian, or he can get on like Kumon or whatever.
Okay, so is that who you think comes out when?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because they can't take Richie out. Yeah.
Well, they could.
Well, they can't sit 2.5 million.
No, but I will say, like, that fourth line feels like a fourth line for once. And we always say, like, we have, like, no fourth line. And Spezza, Simmons, and Richie, that's a fourth line, right? And, like, it's cool to think that, like, that at times people probably before the season would be like, oh, that's a pretty good fucking third line. I'd be like,
we did say that.
Okay. Oh, we probably did. Luckily, no one's listened to us enough to actually grab that recording. So, but like, it's cool to see that's on their fourth line. Now, I know our team's not made up to be able to spend, actually, not that much. I guess it's what, 4.3? Oh, no, about 4.1 on that fourth line. That's not too bad, right?
Yeah, not too bad.
Right.
Especially considering the Vancouver Canucks last year's fourth line was like 10 million. So, I mean,
but the Canucks are also a goddamn joke. They told their two best players, we have this much money. Good luck.
Hey, and it worked.
True.
So Kirill Semyonov came up last game. We'll talk a little bit about the Flyers game, and then we'll get to a little bit more of last night's game, because the Flyers game I thought Kirill looked awesome. I know we're starting right from the ground up here. We're going to get to a little bit more of the bigger stories, but like, I don't know. I feel like this guy makes Mikheyev and Engvall expendable. And I think Din, by the sounds of it, I think those guys are expendable regardless of if we even have their player.
Wait, don't you want him to be good? Like, Kirill, don't you want him to be good? So play them, right? Like we talked about this, and especially me earlier in the season. You have to fucking play guys minutes, and like they're finally doing it with Timmy, and we knew Sandine was going to get minutes, but
Yeah.
they're doing it with Timmy now, and like it worked. No way, guys that are highly touted that are supposed to be good, and that you hire scouts to tell you if these guys are going to be good, are saying he's good, and then you let him play, he might end up being good. Now, Pierre Engvall, I think, was drafted 147th. Now, that's objectively late and probably means he's going to be not good, which he is. So now I know Kirill Semyonov wasn't drafted or anything, but like he's, the Russian of the year that we bring over, and then we hope to God that it works. And like eventually, sorry, Ilya Mikheyev, your old news. But for Kirill, like to save some, like you unfortunately like have to save $600,000 here and $700,000 there if you want to make some trade deadline pickups that probably won't work anyways. But like if you want to like put something together like that, right? And that's what Sandine and Liljegren has shown us too. That like you need these guys that are going to play higher to a ceiling rather than Pierre Engvall that like we know what his ceiling is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
he's not pulling anything out of his ass.
Because I want to get to like some like a little bit more of like that trade stuff and who we play, but what were you guys' initial reactions walking out of that Philadelphia Flyers win?
I thought it was really good because Campbell was unreal after that LA game that we were a little concerned about, but like all we talked about is that we just want a bounce back game and we wanted depth scoring, and we got that Kasha goal and we had a shutout. So that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Yes. With that, like what I'm happy about is knowing that Campbell like is the guy, right? It is kind of terrifying that like if he's hurt, we are fucked, and like really like fucked. And like even in the playoffs, right? I know it's really far away, obviously, but is anyone confident that Mrazek's going to come back and do anything?
I think he can stay healthy.
He can be.
Well, I'm just not confident that he's going to stay healthy. And like I'm actually the opposite of confident. I'm very pessimistic. Right. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but I can be pessimistic at times.
Right. That's why. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I thought
so sorry, go.
Well, I thought my main takeaway was our penalty kill. The last two games has not only been good, it's been like we've had the same amount of opportunity as the opposition. And I don't know if we've switched up, how we're playing in our system, because I haven't paid as much attention to it, but it's like we're fast on the puck. We're not allowing zone entries. We're forcing the other team to dump it in, and we're winning the puck battles in deep to get it back forward. And we're getting a bunch of 2-on-1s. And like when we start, still haven't buried one, but like because our expected goals are still the bottom of the league. I sent you guys the graph tonight. So it's like that penalty kill, I don't know if we've struck gold or if the teams we're playing just have shitty power plays, but that has been like super impressive. That was my main takeaway, especially from the Philadelphia game.
One thing I noticed, two things. One, I'm actually optimistic when they get a power play, which is kind of like the when we get a power play. I'm like optimistic we're not going to score. The only thing that makes me happy about a power play is I'm like, we probably won't have a goal against for the next 2 minutes, which is a terrible way to think. But our penalty kill forces the other team to play like we do our power play. The stupid cycling bullshit and just taking wicked shots. But the thing is, we can slightly get away with it because of how good our players are. The other teams can't. They just don't have players good enough that cycling, just sitting flat-footed bullshit or skating around and fucking doing it like a revolving door like Marner does to the blue line and throws a muffin on. We're kind of playing them defensively to make that happen, and they're just not as good at it as us or as bad or whatever you want to say.
But you would think the Flyers with Konechny, with Giroux, with Atkinson, with Couturier, with Provorov on the point, like that's a dangerous power play. Like that's not too far off the Leafs power play. Calgary is a little bit different, right? Like they don't have any of the they have to check.
I think the big thing, the big thing you said is the zone entries thing. They're just not getting time to even set anything up. Right. So Marner looks good on it. David Kampf makes life a lot easier having him on that, just because you save a lot of the offensive weapons for after the power play too.
Yeah.
And he can just do that, and then he can be like, Kampf, you're sitting on the bench for the next 5 minutes, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I know Engvall was playing on the penalty kill yesterday, and considering his stick is 48 feet long, it kind of works.
Yeah.
I love the pressing style. Like, it's just guys sprinting straight at you as soon as you get the puck.
Marner does that a lot. Marner does that really well. He presses so hard. And like he's good at skating, right? So he can get back. Now, obviously, that's gonna once in a while probably bite us in the ass a bit, which is, if we're aware of it, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right?
I hate when the penalty kill guys they form that square and they just stay there. And you're like,
they
just
start
start
zone defense
like this. They're just like sweeping.
I'm like, I hate that. So I'm so
zone
happy
defense can work when it's
don't.
5-on-5. Zone defense doesn't work on the penalty kill very well because the guys, you never guess there's actually one extra player on the other team when you're on the penalty kill.
Yeah, you wouldn't know if on the Leafs power.
The Leafs power play, you wouldn't have a fucking clue. I wish Keith would just say that, or whoever the fuck's on power play right now. Hey guys, so you have one more guy than they have, which means objectively there should always be one guy open. Now you guys get paid a lot of money. Can someone fucking score?
Yeah. Well, no. Can you guys drop pass it 3 times before his own?
Oh no, 4. Give me 4. 4 drop passes. I'd almost be there. I'd be so close.
It's like
pass
in every
it back
sport,
to the goalie.
Every sport they have the game where it's like you have to pass it this amount of times before you can shoot. The Leafs definitely in practice, like you have to drop pass it this amount of times before you can enter the zone.
Well, didn't you hear those fucking guys who make $40 million also play on an alternative frisbee team? So they take a lot of the things from that, trying to apply it to their game on the ice.
Well, to be fair, their power play, like that first power play, although they're not scoring, last game especially, they were having some good opportunities.
I think for a power play, you have to score. I like the expected goals on a power play, like you have to finish. Like we can talk about expected goals 5-on-5. I feel like unless you're putting in the back of the net with power play, I kind of don't give a fuck. Especially when you've been so shit for a long time.
But don't you think that it will just come over more time?
We've been saying that for like 3-4 years.
No, but
you should be right. You should be right.
When Tavares was out and we had the power play against Philadelphia, we put Nick Ritchie at the front of the net. Their power play was objectively better. And and especially because you're putting that first power play unit on for 1:25, okay? And then you got the last 45 seconds for whoever. Put Tavares out there. Have him be an actual puck handler because he's good with the puck. On that power play, playing in his position, it's like you touch the puck once and you're like, he's the guy that's going to win the puck battles the most, more than anyone else. So it just makes more sense to have like a Tavares, Spezza, Kasha, and please move Sandin to that first power play unit.
Yes. Well, I was just going to say either take Riley off it and don't run a defenseman or put Sandin on it. I think one of those two is the actual answer. Probably the latter, realistically, just because like no coaches do come up with actually like smart shit. Well, they just will not change the status quo. It's like, but there has to be a defenseman at the blue line. It's like, well, you have an extra player out there.
Well, I mean, there's been like, when we were growing up, it was always the 2 defensemen, right? We had the Calgary McCabe's.
But we had Calgary McCabe.
Right.
So it was okay.
But it's like everywhere in the league they had that, and now they've got down to 1. And I'm waiting for the first team to consistently do the 5 forwards, because whenever I play NHL, I set up my power play units to be all 5 forwards both rounds.
Do you not want Martin? I want Martin at the point.
Yeah. Well, the only thing,
throw muffins at the net, but
that's the only thing is like the reason that Riley doesn't, I don't think really fits there as much as Sandin is because there is no shot.
No.
Like,
and
it
is
Morgan
the other team. Is Morgan that much better of a passer?
No.
Than Sandin?
Yeah. Right. Let's move on to Sandin because.
No, I'm saying is Morgan that much better of a passer than Sandin?
No, I'm saying he's less.
Oh, I am too. I'm trying to be an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Sandin at last game especially, he was the best defenseman on the ice.
Timothy was the best defenseman halfway through the game.
And Timothy was the best defenseman. Sandin was the best all around. He was jumping up the rush, but Liljegren was winning all the puck. He was taking some massive hits from that.
Yeah.
And also, those announcers, if they said one more fucking time, wow, Calgary Flames are really tall. Their goalies are 6'5" and 6'6". And Goodbranson and whoever the fuck was on that fourth, who is it? Zadorov. Wow, they're this tall. There's a bunch of tall guys on this team. They literally said it 10
Dude, Zadorov
times.
doesn't know his ass from his elbow, man. That guy's terrible.
Same with Goodbranson. And it's just
Dude,
like,
that guy's literally a fucking wet paper bag on ice. Like, fucking
I don't know why the
brutal.
announcers annoy me so much, but they always just pick like one topic and they just repeat it 18 million times.
Dude,
until-
they just have a scroll that's like fucking as long as Engvall's stick, and it's just like, we're just gonna repeat the same fucking thing every single time.
yeah, and it's Ray Ferraro talking about, oh, back in my day, I had this happen. And it was actually funny because last game he started telling a story and then the play started and it was like a relatively exciting play and then the guy cut him off to talk about the play and then Ray Ferraro jumps in and he's like, anyways, and then he's just telling the story. It's like, dude, stop.
It's like, how many times do we have to know that Ray Ferraro once scored 40 goals when the goalies were made up of fucking like wet paper bags?
And he was on the Thrashers, which did not at that time have anyone else to play center. So yeah, you got minutes.
Yeah, nice. You played 25
Unreal.
minutes a night. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I paid off the refs too. That's how you got your job.
oh no.
So yeah, Liljegren, Sandin. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, Liljegren's been unreal. Like skating back and just saving the team on a couple of plays. I'm like, yeah, this is the guy I want. He's just been incredible.
The thing I was thinking of, dude, if we could like move some money around, do whatever, and get one more decent second line to right side, that D is literally locked up for. I feel comfortable even with some decline from some of the guys because you're going to get Liljegren and Sandin playing a bit better for 2 to 3 years after this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like Muzzin's got 2 more years. Riley's got 1,000 more years. Brody's got 2 more years. Sandy Liljegren are RFAs.
Muzzin and Brody don't they have 3 more years?
Brody was 5x4, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they both have 3 more years.
Right. But
So
so
all
Muzzin's going to hit the decline. I don't think Brody, maybe the last year, he's a bit
But if
worse.
you shelter his minutes and give him a better pair, like he won't decline as hard, right?
Exactly. And that's what
It won't be as obvious.
That's what I want to see going into the rest of the season because right now, Mark, do you actually just mind looking up the minutes last night for the defenseman? But like
Liljegren had the most halfway through the game.
Right, but if you can shelter Muzzin a little bit more so he doesn't get hurt in the fucking playoffs because you're riding him for the entirety of games.
And we've also seen that I think Muzzin can't. Or like you don't want to have to. How about that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if he's feeling a little beat up, you can say, hey, Muzz, you can play 15 minutes, 16 minutes tonight. It's like, it's okay. Right? It's not the end of the world. And you can move the pairings accordingly, right?
So how do we go out? Because I think Hall and Dermott are going to be, either one of those guys are going to be included in a trade for a possible top 4 defenseman. And you're probably looking at a 4-5 guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because then Liljegren and Sandin can move up. Everyone can move up, down.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
you play a 4-5 guy with Muzzin and still upgrade on Hall.
I'm not even looking at the D as like a line thing. I'm just looking at a 6 or 3 solid left side, 3 solid right side, right? Like, so I'm not looking at like a line situation, right? As long as all of them are obviously like a top 6 defenseman, then it kind of doesn't matter. I just don't think Hall and Dermott are.
I think Dermott is a 4-5-6 guy, probably a 5-6 guy. If you can go out and get like more of a veteran guy who like has a bit of a shitty contract in the last year deal. Yes. Well, that's assuming the Kraken don't come first in the division. So they won't want to give him up off that. But that honestly, something like that. If they end up getting Mark Giordano,
quote you on
me in the
you still want him?
Yeah, fucking set up a Venmo. All 3 listeners have to send me $3.
Mark, what are the minutes you got in there?
I don't know where to find these bad boys.
You can just go to TSN or Sportsnet. But yeah, no. So like you include one of those 2 guys in a deal. No, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves once again here, but we're Leafs fans.
Oh, there we go.
We don't have any fucking draft picks, so
no.
You know, like, do you include what prospect do you include in it? We got like Pontus Holmberg possibly. Like, you don't want to give up. What's the Russian guy that we just got in the first round?
Amirov isn't going anywhere because he's a center, isn't he? And we're going to need a center once Tavares probably next 2 years has to go on the wing, so you can't really do that.
So like you got like Topi Niemela, who I'm like, I was looking him up last night. I was watching highlights of that guy. He is in the same so far in his points in the Finnish league as
18 points in 20 games.
Yep, he's around the guys of like Pitkanen, Miro Heiskanen, that kind of echelon of players right now.
And his development and everything you've seen from him only says he's going to get better. One thing I would say is I feel like I have no fucking idea because I'm literally sitting in a basement right now doing a fucking hockey podcast, but I'm guessing around the league, his actual value isn't as high as what teams would value him at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
His actual value.
Like his value, right? If you were to
like
trade
his real value, you want to get his actual value as of it right now because
I'm not
looking at a fourth round pick.
Him.
Oh, okay,
like,
cool.
He's the guy that comes up.
I think it'd be stupid. It would be stupid anyways.
No.
It would be training Marner after 6 games when he had no points, right? Like,
you keep that guy because in 2 years, when you start to get a decline from some of the defensemen that we do have, he can be the next Sandin Liljegren to come up and fill that spot for cheap, right? Yeah. So like you need guys like that, especially in the defense, because we haven't drafted defense very well.
And I imagine too, being a fourth or fifth round pick. You can get them at cheaper just because of the pedigree, just because we know like first 2 round picks, like they just get more money because they're first 2 round picks. And even though Niemela obviously has like a good pedigree of like the top defenseman already at the World Juniors last year, and then also like having 18 points in 20 games already in the KHL not KHL. Swedish?
No, Finnish.
Finnish league, yeah. Considering last year I think he had like 6 points in like 25 games. So obviously that, but like you said, I don't think you trade someone like that. But I also like Dubas will just pull something out of his ass anyways. But I do hope it's Hall. I don't know. Kind of doesn't matter. But the money would obviously matter because Hall makes $2 million. But I just don't like Hall. So.
Yeah, I think what you do with Niemela is he plays out the extent of the year. Maybe when that playoff's over, he comes over with the AHL, see how he does. You sign to an AHL contract next year, and then the year after is the entry level start. That's when you start to get a little bit of decline from guys, so that you can walk into like 2 years from now. You can walk in with Brody, Riley, Sandin, Liljegren, Muzzin, Niemela.
Yeah,
like that's, and then you shelter a guy like
that would
Muzzin
be ideal.
he's still on contract with a young puck moving defenseman who kind of honestly height. Skill set looks a lot like Rasmus Sandin.
Yep.
Thus far. I think it's 5'11". So like we do have some relatively exciting prospects,
There's your deep dive.
Yeah. Well, those are the guys. That's why I fucking hate that we trade all of our draft picks all the time. I get it, but like those are the guys that fucking play up. Like those are the guys like next year, like Robertson, or maybe the year after, Robertson, Amirov, Niemela are on their RFA deals, and maybe Liljegren and Sandin are on some sort of bridge. And now you've got 5 guys that can play in your middle of your lineup that make fuck all, right?
Well,
that's how you win a cup with your $30-40 million guys.
I didn't mind us trading away some of our draft picks last year because what the Leafs specialize in is having a scout team that they can pay a little bit more than everyone else and can travel across the world. Last year's draft, you didn't have that. Like you were basically shooting shots at a dartboard, and that's not where our advantage is. So our advantage is have on the years when you can scout all over the world, right? So like last year, I'm not too upset about it. It looks like we might have gotten Nyes looks still decent. We took someone else in the later rounds who was a shorter guy, and he looks like he could be a steal. Yeah, exactly. And he's in the Ontario Hockey League, right?
Yeah. He's lining up.
So it's like, I wasn't too concerned about that. Now I would like to hold on to our draft picks a little bit. I hope on the trade deadline that we don't trade our draft picks and that we can maybe, a guy that we wouldn't need. So like a left winger right winger, because we have that depth for the next. Yeah.
The irony of us having such a good scout team that I'm like actually legitimately, not like sarcastically as like a stupid fucking Leafs fan going like, don't trade our 4th and 5th round picks, right? Like, because I actually trust them to not fuck them up. Like, and Tyler bigs it up to me, but like, bullshit.
Well, we don't have Hunter anymore, so that's an underrated thing about Dubas, that people are just like ripping on him, and his draft history since he's been in control of it has been absolutely stellar.
Yeah,
you know,
and the fruits of the labor I hope will come up very soon, as long as they see the Liljegren gives me hope because they're playing him, he's playing well, and like to have hope of like you have to play these guys on minutes, and like fuck, it's like I love the idea of like, hey Lily, you if are playing well, you're going to get 18 minutes tonight. If you're not playing well, you're going to play 8. And having Brody, Muzzin, Riley, kind of Justin Hall and Sandine to be able to play more and take up your minutes if you're playing like shit. But also like that's why I like the idea of getting that 6 defenseman where you can do that any game with any players, right? If Brody and Riley aren't working, well then Lily and Sandine play more minutes and you feel good about it.
Yeah. And
speaking of minutes, did you want them?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Nice segue. Wow.
You're welcome.
You're learning.
That's why they pay me the big fucking bucks, boys. I did that on purpose.
All right.
So the top minutes, we have Riley with 23.50.
Okay.
And then you have Justin Hall with 21.20.
Wow.
He played good last night, I'll have to be honest.
Muzzin with 21.20.
Can you mute that?
Actually,
take that last part out.
Okay, and what about the boys? What about that?
And then the young guys, we have Sandine had 18.14, which is the exact same as TJ Brody, and Liljegren had 13.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot in the second half of the game.
The weird thing is that I noticed those guys more than any other defenseman.
Yeah.
In a good way, because sometimes I can be bad way. For example,
Usually
Morgan
defenseman, it's a bad way.
Morgan Riley had a bad game last night, I think.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he let up, I think, 3 2-on-1s. He pinched terribly on 2 of them.
Oh my God.
I feel so bad for Brody.
Like,
how many
so
2-on-1s were there?
He's not. Okay, if you're playing with the fourth line, if you're like if Riley's playing with the fourth line, Richie Simmons and whoever else Spets is up, and you want to jump up, okay. You don't have to fucking jump up with Matthews and Marner. You don't. Right? You're a defenseman when you're playing with them. You get to play as a winger when you're with some other guys, as long as like Brody's back there to fucking save your ass and basically play safety.
And what kind of confirms that is that Sandine and Liljegren ended with a +1. And everyone else either had 0 or a -1.
Yeah, and like Morgan, like I played hockey at a low level growing up, but you were told to not pinch if it's a close game or you're up. And what was last night? A close game. The whole game we were tied, basically. And he pinched all of those times before it was 1-0 Calgary. So it's just like, why are you like, that's not necessary.
Does anyone remember a time where it's really worked?
No,
not many.
No, I don't. Like, that's the thing. I really don't. You know, when I was saying like Marner sometimes or on penalty kill, really pushes the pace and like forces guys to make passes and make stupid plays when he's penalty killing. And it's like, okay, eventually that's going to give up a goal. Like, I notice both sides of that. Riley, when he pinches, maybe it's just because I see it and I start fucking screaming at my 52-inch TV, but I see him do it and it never works. And I'm trying to remember a time where he's pinched, made something happen, and thrown it in front of the net for a goal. I just don't remember.
I feel like it was like 3 years ago where he did it.
That's what I think. I think it worked. I feel like it worked. Yeah, when he scored 20 goals, that was the worst thing. Worst thing to ever happen to Morgan Riley was scoring 20 goals.
Well, that's because he had Ron Hainsey, this defensive stalwart,
just feeding him.
Yeah.
And then classic 2-on-1 on Ron Hainsey, just lie down. Just lie down
every time. You know he's going to.
Dude, check up a stat, Schmitty. How many fucking games did Ron Hainsey play? Fucking like 1,200, didn't he?
1,200, yeah.
It was something insane. No, God, no. But in general, he played like 1,200 games. This guy was the best, worst defenseman I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. Yeah. And he was one of those guys that on other teams you didn't really notice because he was just very mediocre.
He was fucking Ron Hainsey.
Yeah. But what was I going to say about that? I also, getting on to David Comp because I saw a tweet last night. What? How many is it, Mark?
1,132 for 8 different teams.
Can you see where that ranks
That's a
in the
stud.
all-time rankings?
For like
That's got to be like
defensemen.
top, like
Yeah,
just
look
say
up.
just put like top 100 most games played by defensemen.
Yeah.
And then just you go look for Hainsey.
And if you want to ask us a trivia question to see if we can figure
guess.
out a couple, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I saw a tweet about David Kampf that was basically like, if he's gonna just miss all these tap-ins, like, because it was on who's that guy, Ian Tulloch, who does the best player, worst player on the Leafs, and someone was like David Kampf because you just missed all these tap-ins. Like, that's not what we have him there for.
He's actually a stud, man. Like stud for David Conn, like for like what he is. Like he's decent, man. Like I don't ever see him make a bad play. There's nothing. Plays don't die on his stick. They're definitely not made on his stick. But considering like when we got him, people from Chicago were either on one side that was like, this guy, you know, he had 1 goal last year, but he's going to put in 10 for you. He can do shit. Like I think he scored in junior, which I know doesn't mean a lot because I think Paul Bissonnette did. But he plays don't die on his stick. They can make shit happen, and plays die on everyone else's stick when they're on the ice, and it's very noticeable. And the fact that you can put them against other teams' first lines and open up more space for our big guys, like that's invaluable.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see with Mikheyev on that line. As much as I said I hate him, like it'll be interesting to see him on that line.
Yeah, no, he's a poor man's Philip Deneau, where like you don't expect much to happen out there, but that's a good because he's making all the defensive.
Because he's not playing against other teams' third lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
No, I really like David Kampf, and it also wasn't a tap in. I think the one that maybe people were talking about was when Vladar was like way out of the net and like jumped back in. Like Kampf, granted, if it was Marner or Matthews, would have scored, but they're also making $11 million. Yeah, if it was Willie, it would have been in the top.
Oh, Willie would have
bar
scored
down.
3.
He would have went bar down
plus 3.
Yeah,
bar down, up, down, and then in. As a stud. I do. Yeah, do you got?
Oh yeah.
All right.
He's number 52.
Now. Let's give me the guy ahead of him, like 51 and 53, and let's see comparatively.
If you want to know who, I'll let you guess. He played for the Leafs. The guy right above him, 51.
Caberlet.
Gil.
Ryan McCabe.
I was close. I said Caberlet. I said his partner. And who's 53?
And 53, just under him, Dave Elliott.
All right.
The good old
Born
Dave
20
Elliott.
years before Ron Hainsey.
Oh, I love Dave Elliott. That guy was sick.
That's fucking 20 years before Ron Hainsey. You're talking the 1800s here. Holy shit.
Where is Hal Gill in there, Mark? I feel like he has to be somewhat high.
Hal Gill is lower.
I'm going to say 892 games. I'm going to make up a guess. Hal Gill, 892 games.
Hal Gill, he's 64th rated, or I guess games played, with 1,108.
Wow, they're all really condensed in there, eh?
That really makes me optimistic that I could have been something, you know?
And then for top 3, the guy in third is
Chelios is one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, he's number 1.
Yeah.
He's still playing,
Yeah.
Oh, it's Chara.
Yeah.
Is Chara still playing?
Yeah, he plays for fucking Islanders. Who got drafted.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, he got drafted.
And he's only 20 games away from number 2 and like 30 games away from Chris Chelios.
Wow.
So he could pass him, actually.
And Chelios played it like 7 more years. Well, I don't know how many years, but he was 7 years older when he stopped playing. One thing I think we should get into, which we never get into because every time we bring them up, we just fucking despise them. And that's those big 4 guys because they're actually playing really well, other than Martin, who sucks because he should be traded yesterday. But it's very cool to see, for the most part, all 4 of those guys playing very well and us winning most of the games when they do play well, like we always said. And I know we expect them to play well, so I think that's why we don't bring them up. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we expect them to play well, so it's like, well, we won, and it's like, well, you know, most of these wins are going to come on the backs of those 4. But I think this is showing us like I think we've won 7 out of 8. That if those guys are playing well, we're not probably going to lose. And especially with Jack Campbell, like even if Jack Campbell's mediocre, I think that's pretty good, right? Mediocre Jack Campbell's letting in what, 2 goals?
Yeah.
So other than LA
Other
Kings,
than the
rest in
LA,
peace.
yeah.
We won't talk about that game, but it's very cool to see these guys play for the most part exactly how they're supposed to, and Nylander actually playing up.
Yeah, every year it looks like he just keeps taking another step.
He's not floating. He doesn't float at all. And I think that's the confidence of knowing that he's the best player on the ice at any given time.
And see, this is the thing about like maybe why the Tavares Nylander line works a little better than Nylander Matthews is just because Nylander is a driver to a line. And that's why you can put him with, as Din said, scrubs, third line players, and he's still
bums.
He's still the best player on the ice. And if you put him with Tavares, because Tavares is definitely not a play driver, but he finds open areas. He's good winning puck battles. He's good defensively, opens up a little bit more room for Nylander. And that's why I think that second line, Kerfoot has been fine, but it would be really nice to have
not pushing it
better. I'm fine with Bunting on the first line. I think he's looked really good, honestly. He's not a first line winger.
The one thing I noticed is he's constantly trying to play catch up, but for $900,000, that's fine, right? There's times where you can tell he's like, because I think some like when Thornton was playing on that line, he wasn't trying to be fast. He wasn't trying to like catch up to these guys, and I know Bunting is, and you can tell he's, his brain doesn't like his skates don't move as fast as his brain, but it doesn't move as fast as his brain. And now I think that'll actually just make him better. So just keep him on that line. Plus, it's not a negative. Someone's got to play on that line, and I still can't think of anyone else. But yeah, I think
it's just such a shit disturber.
And I love that too. Need. The thing is, and I wonder what your guys' view of it is, but this team, because there's such a differentiation from the best guys to the worst guys, and some of them are like mixed and match in those lines, guys that aren't making a lot of money will have open nets and not shoot and pass it to the $11 million guys. And that's what I see from Marner when he plays with Matthews, is he's constantly looking for Matthews. And Bunting, even if Bunting's open, who do you think Marner's fucking passing it to? And Marner's got a good shot too. So I don't like them on the same line, Matthews and Marner, because Marner's just constantly looking for Matthews, and they'll just double cover him. And we saw that in the playoffs last year. And I think it's going to keep happening. I think it makes more sense to put Marner with Tavares, because I feel like almost Marner doesn't have the same, like, I have to pass it to the 65 goal scorer. I have to pass it to the 65 goal scorer, right? He can actually, I would think that he not has more confidence so much as feels like there's more an even distribution between all three of them than there is with
less
Matthews.
Pressure.
I feel like when he plays with Matthews, he has to think he's Nicholas Backstrom with Ovechkin.
Yeah, no, that's
pretty good comparison.
That's definitely a good point. The only, like, I guess my rebuttal would be like when you see David Pastrnak, who is a similar player to Nylander, playing with Patrice Bergeron, which is a similar player to John Tavares, that works so well because Pastrnak drives that line, and Bergeron is the guy who, like, Pastrnak is allowed to make a little bit more mistakes because of that. Granted, they have Marchand on the other wing, so it's a little bit different in that regard.
I didn't disagree with you. What I'm saying is, Matt, I would rather Tavares and Nylander together and Marner and Matthews just work. I just think if we have to pick 2 and 2, that because of the way Marner and Matthews play together, that I'd rather just switch it up. I think it's more evenly distributed. Like the lines almost are more similar, right? Like they're kind of like the same in a way.
Yeah.
And I think you get, I think you get more out of Marner, and you need more out of Marner. Now, you'd almost I'd almost wish Nylander ended up being a center because it'd be a lot easier. But or I think you were kind of alluding to this beforehand, but would have had a little bit more depth. So you could stick Nylander on the third line and run that more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or when they loaded up Tavares, Marner, and Matthews, which looked really good, and Nylander still looked good with his group of married men.
Good everywhere.
He fucking just looks good, man. Get this guy, get him in the Hall of Fame. He should have been honored before the game.
Yeah. The other thing about Michael Bunting, which I know that you guys know, but it's like something just to for all Leaf fans to keep in mind is this guy's played 41 games in the NHL. So like catching up to the speed of it, and especially playing on a first line, like that's going to take some time. And I do honestly notice him getting better and better and more with the play every single game. And I think you kind of have to ride him out until the playoffs with that line so that he can really grow into that role. You can't put him back down in the line when Mikheyev gets back.
No,
I'm sorry. And Mikheyev is third or fourth line or he's gone.
The other thing too is, and I think you noticed this with some of the other guys that were playing on those lines, those top lines, but they're not getting annoyed with them. You know what I mean? Like when Thornton was playing with Marner and Matthews, you could tell they were getting annoyed because it's like, holy fuck, Gramps, you got to get down the fucking ice, Jesus. But it doesn't look like they're annoyed playing with them. So obviously they're okay with it. That's the other thing too, is I'm sure they wouldn't shy away from showing their need to have someone else on that line. And if we want Bunting to be what we want Bunting to be, he has to get minutes. Yeah. I also just don't think there's any good replacement.
No.
Right.
That too. So, I'm so glad they haven't tried putting Richie with him yet.
Well, they kind of did, and it didn't work. So
yeah, it was real quick.
Yeah. No, and the great thing about like for next year, the other thing, once again, I know every single podcast we talk about Kerfoot being expendable is because Nick Robertson, if he doesn't get hurt, and like, he's going to play some games this year in the AHL.
Knock on wood.
He will come back. Next year, you put him on that first or second line, and you actually have a driving force on the line. Kerfoot is not. Yeah. Kerfoot has looked fine, but that's $3.5 million. So like a $2.3 million difference that you can, because Sandin is going to need to be signed. I think Liljegren, is he coming to the end of his entry level? So both those guys need to be signed, and every dollar counts at this point. I would rather, and like Chris Robertson a year older than Kerfoot a year older. So like there is like some good hope. Our top six and our defense and if we can re-sign Campbell, our goalies are set for the next 3 to 4 years. And that is an exciting thing because you can just plug and play guys on the third and fourth line.
No, that's amazing.
So we have a 3-year window.
Yeah.
Like a guaranteed 3-year window.
And there's ways, like there's money kind of lying around there that you can sign Campbell, right?
Yep.
And he's the kind of guy that would take a hometown discount too.
And the thing is, you know, if Mrazek comes back, if you want him, you need him to play. One, you need him to not be injured, and two, you actually need him to play well, because either you need a serviceable backup or you need him to have value to trade him. Right. So one of those two things he has to come back and play well. I think that's a no matter what situation.
Yeah.
And first,
how long is he signed?
3 years.
Okay.
That should have probably been a 2-year deal, but that's fine, I guess.
You know what I found interesting in the second intermissions show with the Hall of Fame, they were talking to Marian Hossa and Ken Holland. And they were talking about, I don't know if you guys heard this, but they were talking about how Nicholas Lidstrom was making $8 million or $7.5 million or something like that. And then Hossa's agent called Ken Holland and was like, hey, what can we get done here? Like, here's like, how about a year for $8 million? Yeah. And then Ken Holland was like, well, I got to call Nicholas because I got to make sure that Nicholas is okay with this guy making more money than him, because Nicholas is Nicholas Lidstrom. Yeah. And the Hossa agent on behalf of Hossa called back and was like, we'll take the same as Lidstrom. And it was just like, where is that anymore?
No,
like where is that? Marner was going like, I'm just as good as Matt, you know, like people, I get you're like going for that bag, man, but like people got to be a little bit more objective about their play. And it's like
but it worked. He got paid. So how can you can't sit on that side and be like,
and won a Stanley Cup and won a Stanley Cup,
because there's no way that Marner or that Dubas didn't say, dude, you're not Matthews. And he went, all right, I'll take $700,000 less. And it's like, oh, you're not Tavares. It's like, I'll take $50,000 less. Right. So there's no way Dubas didn't say that or like allude to that. Right. Like, as much as I know Dubas really likes players, and I'm sure he's really on their side when they're having those conversations, I'm sure there's a like, hey, Marner, you're a playmaking winger. He's a goal scoring center. He went number 1 overall. You went 4th. Like, you see the difference here, right?
Here's the thing.
Like, I don't care.
I'm not necessarily. Yeah, I'm talking more about the Marian Hossa than the Ken Holland side of it.
Well, no.
You know, like, where is the, like, Marian Hossa saying, like, I have the opportunity to make $8 million, but I'm going to take less because this other guy is objectively a better player and more meaningful to the team than me.
Because there's not as much respect in the league.
Exactly.
Well, it's also a different league because the best players are 23 years old.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, right?
And fame is more popular than ever. Yeah, I know those words go hand in hand, but it's just like Matthews going to games with like Justin Bieber and stuff like that, you know? Yeah, it's like you can make so much more money off of fandom than necessarily even like you're set for life.
Yeah.
So that's another thing about playing in Leafland. I don't want to harp too much on guys like Mitch Marner, but it's like you're gonna make trust me, if he was making 9.5,
I'd be fine.
Right. And everyone in Leafland would be fine. And even when he was going through that rough patch, there wouldn't have been so much like trade Marner.
It wouldn't have been as harsh.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, don't you want, and then you could have made that, you would have been beloved. You could have made more money in advertisements.
Matthews getting kind of that much better kind of fucked him too, eh? Because it's like at the time when they signed, he wasn't that much, or he didn't look that much better than Marner. And then obviously, like we saw last year, that we're like, oh, he's on like that next tier, right? Mm-hmm. He's not on that like all-star every year, second team all-star. It's first team all-star. He can do things that you haven't seen before shit, right? He can break records kind of shit, like top 5 in the league stuff. And like, obviously top 5 in the league, not really too much of an argument. And he did that. And then you're like, oh, well, he's making 11.6 and he's making 11, but he's obviously way better now. And it wasn't the case when they first signed, but no one's surprised that Matthews got way better, and I'm not actually super surprised that Marner is just a 25 goals, 70 assists, 65 assist guy, right? Yeah. That's what he is, which is fine, but that's not an $11 million player.
You see, it would be interesting if in the NFL you can restructure contracts.
I know. There's guaranteed money and shit.
You can't do that in the NHL?
No.
Really?
I'm pretty sure if the player agreed to it, you could. But there's no fucking way.
No one does it?
There'd be no. I think you actually can, but it would have to be both guys agreeing. And there's no way that would happen.
And there's already way more tension between the union of the players and the league ownership than in the NFL.
Also, they wouldn't let the player do that because that looks bad on everyone else. Because then it'll be an expectation for everyone else. And that's why, players not taking discounts. The union doesn't want players taking discounts because then everyone will be forced to, and you don't want guys that aren't Marner and aren't going to be paid $100 million. Like, let's say Nick Ritchie taking $500,000 less to come. It's like, well, this guy doesn't have a lot of money. Well, not as much money to make as other people. So to get $2 million less in a contract, who knows what happens in his next one? So I know the union doesn't want people taking discounts. Yeah. Right. Nathan McKinnon's contract screws everyone else up. And I know when he signed it, it wasn't that great, but I'm sure that contract fucked everyone else on the Avalanche. Yeah. Right. Look at Randon's contract. That was because of McKinnon. He would have got more money.
If McKinnon was making same with Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
right? So
it's also super kind of like Ken Holland. Granted, he had some great success, made the playoffs with the Red Wings for so many years, but it's like you had a lot of help, man. Like you had like the Chris Drapers, like Brendan Shea, all of those guys signed with you being like, we're going to take a lot less. Yeah. We're going to take a lot less than what we're worth. And this is before salary cap era anyways, or as it was just starting. And so that we can bring the team back. It's kind of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFL. They're just like, hey, we just won the Super Bowl. Like why, like let's just make it a game.
Brady's done it his whole career.
Yeah, exactly. And
everyone wants the Brady contract for their team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know it's a little bit selfish as fans, but it's also like Ken Holland, like talking about it's like, oh man, you had Dubas has gone through a lot fucking worse than you had to go through. Right. And then when Ken Holland wasn't getting the great deals from like these players, then he was trash, so it's
I better retire.
So I'm gonna make the Hall of Fame, just leave on top
and I'm out.
Okay, so let's talk about the game a little bit tonight. Wall's first
That's the headline.
That's the headline.
The wall.
Tonight. The wall. And what a going in against Buffalo.
His AHL numbers are shit.
Yeah,
they're shit.
It's scary.
Like really bad.
Okay, but here's the other thing: is a lot of the goalies that have come up and just all of a sudden been good. Binnington, Murray before he joined the Sens, Tristan Jarry, like a lot of those guys who came out of nowhere have had pretty like mediocre to shitty AHL things, and they came out at necessity, and then they just destroyed. So like, let's
you've heard it here first. Wall Vezina confirmed.
I'm choosing to just be like, you know what? It's about fucking time we had a goalie come up through the system that was that was even decent. When was the last time?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know how many games James Reimer played, but I think the last person to play like over 150 games drafted by Leafs was Felix Potvin.
Yep. Yeah. See,
you go.
Yeah. And Tuukka Rask.
Why would you even say something like that?
What do you mean? Tuukka Rask, he's retired. He sucks.
He'll come back just in time for the playoffs and beat the Leafs.
Beat us.
Yep. Well, let's hope that he can 2 goals tonight, 2 or 3 goals. You know, like
that's all we need.
That's fine. That's all we need. Buffalo.
We just can't have him hutch it, right? Like if our backup is consistently giving up even 3 goals, man, like I'm okay with that. It's Hutch. You're scared that he gives up 5 in the first.
5, game.
Yeah.
You can't win. You aren't going to win a game.
Yeah.
Keep it under 3, and that's success.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do we know how Eric Kallgren's doing in the AHL?
I'm pretty sure he's doing really, really well.
Well, there you go. Possibility of another. And then we drafted someone last year or the year before.
Yeah. Oh my God, what's his name? I'm gonna
Artem Ayurtsev or something.
Akatikov or something.
Yes, something.
God, I'm not gonna try that one.
So I mean, we have some hope, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
like Felix Potvin.
A 9-10 save percentage for Calgary and the Marlies 6 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Potvin, Joseph. Was it Belfour after that?
Yeah.
Jason Kidd.
Eric fucking Jonas Gustafsson, Vesatoska. Yeah,
the monster. Oh yeah,
don't call him that. Come on.
The monster with no 5-hole coverage whatsoever. Yeah. It was Vesatoska who can't stop the puck on icings.
Fuck. And the monster, more like the Yeti, because he doesn't even fucking exist.
Yeah, we've had some. I think it would actually be interesting to do a deep dive in this, but we might have the worst history of goalie development in the history of the NHL.
Yeah, I'll take that at -150.
Yeah, that's a Tom Brady versus the Houston Texans kind of line there. Okay, so any thoughts tonight? I think we have the whole game. I don't know if we're gonna put Semyonov in over someone because it's a back-to-back. I don't know if Dermott's ready to go again.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we all expect the Leafs to come out with another win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early in the season.
It's a good, hopefully a good team for Wall to have his debut against. I know Buffalo's been playing super well, but they did play last night. They looked good, obviously. Well, looked good, quote unquote. But they did play last night, similar to us. Like it is Buffalo at the end of the day. If we lose, I honestly won't even be that mad as long as we don't get absolutely fucked. But no, we should come out with a win.
Yeah,
they were on a 5-game losing streak before they won yesterday.
Perfect. Let's make it another 5. Let's start them off good.
They're coming back down to where they're supposed to be, in the basement. We got to put them in there.
And Mark, you got to make the thumbnail of this video a picture of Joseph Wall because that guy has some nice hair.
No, just put a wall, like a generic wall.
No, not even generic.
Nothing not. You might think like the Berlin Wall. No, that's too strong. Like a really generic fence made with 2x4s that are way too expensive.
Yeah, down. Mark, that's your job. All right. So I have a trivia question for you guys today. And it was based off of looking up the AHL Toronto Marlies,
Oh
and
no.
seeing that they have 222 penalty minutes in 9 games, so
Good shit.
averaging 24.5 penalty minutes per game. Only been in 8 fights. So I don't know if you guys. I didn't know
How the
about
fuck
this.
do you do that?
I didn't know about this Laval game,
What
but
happened?
we played and we lost 5-0, and Biega and Clune got suspensions for this. So in that
Good.
game, Biega 10 penalty minutes, Rich Clune 32 penalty minutes,
Curtis game misconduct, eh?
Curtis
Yeah.
Gabriel 27 penalty minutes.
Oh, I forgot we have both those fucking
Yeah.
psychos on the team.
Curtis Douglas
I love that.
15 penalty minutes.
Oh, wait, do we have Curtis Douglas on our team?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jack
The Danbury Trashers, man.
Jack Kopaka 15 penalty minutes.
That guy's not a person.
Brendan Meno 15 penalty minutes. We ended that game with 129 penalty minutes.
What did we do? Kill their
Yeah.
families?
I gotta watch this game.
Yeah. So so the next closest team in terms of penalty minutes is averaging 17 per. We have 24.5.
Nice.
We have 6 players all over averaging over 2 penalty minutes per game. One of those is Brett Sini. Would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
But here's the trivia question. So name 5 Toronto Maple Leafs, 3 or 5 Toronto Maple Leafs in the top 10 in career fights.
Ty Domi, Colt Noor.
Ty Domi is number 1. Colt Noor is number 6.
Not Fraser McLaren, even though I fucking love that guy.
Mark.
Tucker.
Tucker is 10th.
Oh,
I figured, yeah.
Mark,
Greg.
I want you to get one of these.
shit. Is it Gary was pretty tough, but I just can't see him.
Are we
fighting
talking with the Leafs?
With the Leafs.
with the Leafs?
Okay, so it wouldn't be Gary then.
Who was one of their
I'm
fighters?
fucking drawing blanks here, boys. I'd probably go pretty far back because
Yeah.
no one sticks
They'd
with the
have to
Leafs
stay.
anymore. So we're
The
talking more like-
reason that I chose 5 players is because there is 6 players that you guys should get since
Oh.
our generation or well-known Leafs.
Is Olin Nolan?
no.
He was only
No.
there
He's not
for
a
like
fighter.
a couple of seasons.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You have to think about guys that have been there for a long
Yeah.
time. I have no idea, man. I'm blanking.
All right.
Hey, give me the tip.
Okay, I'll give you a hint here. Amazing mustache.
Lane McDonald.
Nope.
Oh,
Come on.
that's the first one that comes to mind.
Second most amazing mustache on the Toronto Maple
Austin
Leafs.
Matthews.
Mike Brown.
Wendell Clark. Come on now.
Oh
right.
my god.
Oh shit.
You said okay. So when you said people you should know, like obviously Wendell Clark, yeah, but I thought you meant like 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing too.
I said guys in our generation and that you should know.
Oh,
Oh,
see.
I
just dumb.
didn't put a comma.
No,
My bad.
Well,
All right.
Well, yeah. Well, you're a piece of shit for that. So
At number 5, we have the worst player to ever play on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Carl Pilash.
No, worst player with either blonde or white hair. I forget.
blonde or white?
I
An
could give
old
you.
fuck.
I could give you a very morbid hint, but I'm not going to.
I like the morbidity, and I
Okay.
hope it has.
Wade Belak.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I can't believe I fucking forgot about fucking Belak. My
Yeah.
God, that's on me, boys.
Yeah. Tough go for you.
Back.
At number 7, we have Todd Gill.
Wait,
and
wait. Is Tiger Williams in there?
yeah, he's number 2.
Okay, yeah. I was like,
Nice.
okay, yeah.
Todd Gill. So that's who I was actually thinking about, not Hal Gill. If you still have that tab open, I want to know how many games Todd Gill played. And then Ken Baumgartner and Rick Vive.
Yeah.
So Ty Domi leads that.
Rick Vive has the most. He's got the most goals in a single season for the Leafs, right? I think it's
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. So Ty Domi leads with 188. The next closest is Tiger Williams with 114. So Ty Domi
188.
is the legend. And then I want you guys to guess what team have we had the most fights against?
Oh,
Montreal.
Nope. They're
Ottawa?
sixth. No, think
No,
original
just-
six.
Detroit.
Detroit Red Wings at 244. Next
There
closest,
you go.
Chicago at 210.
Fuck Chicago.
Yeah, I thought it'd be Montreal for
Me and all
sure.
my friends hate the Blackhawks.
Oh, you
I
have,
think
you have to remember, Mark, like in the years when Montreal was really good, they weren't a fighting team. Like they
Fighting
were
team.
they were the
They've-
Leafs
You'd
of the
make
NHL.
them fight. Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking the Rocket isn't fighting. Marcel Dion isn't fighting.
Yeah. Whereas the Leafs were definitely fighters back then. All right. So yeah, we all think we have score predictions because none of us have gotten any of these right so far, but score predictions for tonight. Let's keep going until we get one.
4-2 Leafs.
4-3.
All right.
Leafs. Obviously.
Duh. Has anyone ever said the other team's gonna fucking win in one of these?
I'm gonna do it.
3-1 Leafs.
You know what? 4-2 Buffalo.
Oh no.
Oh, this is the
All
one
right.
that he's gonna get right.
Yeah,
Buddy,
fuck.
people are gonna unsubscribe for the fucking podcast for that. My God. I'm gonna get it right.
Todd
I'm the
Gill
fucking
played
Messiah.
1007.
Oh, so,
So Hal Gill played more games than Todd Gill. That's a fun fact.
Yeah, there you go. Now everyone knows. Everyone listening knows that fact. So you can.
You're welcome.
Sure.
If you don't learn something on our
everyone cared.
podcast, yeah. There's
All
no
right.
way you made it this far.
So we're gonna have this out hopefully before the game tonight, and then we're gonna have a post game podcast tonight. So watch it before because you obviously have nothing better to do. All right, peace out.